Welcome to another episode of Ultimate Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. I am Joe.
I am Caleb.
And today we are going over the history of Square Enix Part 9, talking about the new millennium, Final Fantasy 2000, all that sort of good stuff. But before we get into any of that, where are you in Final Fantasy Tactics, Schweiss?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
I'm not glad I asked. I'm not glad I asked at all.
I am partway through the Chapter 3 in the game, and there are 4 chapters. So I'm pretty far, but Chapter 4 is huge. It has a lot of story fights. And the guide I'm looking up, and I'm only looking at a guide because I like to see where I am in the story. Like, right. I know it's not Dirge, where it's like a 4-hour event. So I want to make sure
it was an 8-hour event, and I did it all on your couch.
That is true. That was a fun stream, and so I like to keep a guide up on a lot of these games just to see, like, okay, here's, I'm halfway done right now. I'm 2/3 of the way done. I'm 3/4 of the way done. Whatever.
Sure.
And I've been looking at the Caves of Narsh guide for Final Fantasy Tactics, and they have it split up like in the chapters, and they have just exclusively story fights. And yeah, as of right now, I think I'm on like the 9th or the 10th fight in Chapter 3. And I don't know, the game's really fun, but I've run into some really frustrating moments where it's like, I lose, but I only lose because the game like makes me lose. It's an asshole sometimes. Like in this fight yesterday, in fact, I got super pissed because I was trying to play around with my classes and I got things set up. And I'm like, okay, I got to do this, and I'm going to restart every time one of my characters dies forever, right?
Sure.
Because that's stupid to lose a character for all eternity. And I split my units up, and the map, there's like a spot where I like drop down 4 or 5 feet. And I didn't notice it because the graphics and the camera angle don't really show me that it's a ledge. And I'm trying to like get my healer back up to revive somebody who is tied to every side quest known to man in this game, so he has to live. And suddenly I notice the ledge, and I can't get up to him. He dies. I'm like, all right, whatever. I restart the game, no big deal. And then I do it the second time. I keep the healer kind of close. The healer and him both go down, so I'm trying to bring, like, my character, Husk, over to save him. And, like, there's this guy in the way, right? And I'm like, okay, I had to kill him. I beat him up. And then, like, right as I was leaving, this other enemy in the zone, uses an attack on me that puts me to sleep, and then he just runs away. So, like, now I'm sleeping, and I've got this guy who is unconscious dying, and I can't fucking save him because I'm asleep. Like, the game just wants me to suffer. Like, it's just evil.
It's saying you have to kill this character.
I guess. I mean, I was able to destroy... And the thing is, like, I'm not losing the fight. Like, I'm killing everyone around me. I just spread out so that And the map is set up in a weird way, so it like takes forever to get from one spot to the next because of ledges and like height. And like the guy just put me to sleep, and I couldn't save him. I was like, Jesus! It's like the game is like, all right, well, we can't kill him, but we can put him to sleep, and it does, and it's sick. But I am having a lot of fun with it though,
That's good.
I look forward to playing more. And unfortunately, my PlayStation 1 copy of the game is no longer functioning at the part I'm at. I got to a point in the game, and I moved to the next zone for the next story fight, and...
Oh, it's a good thing that game's not rare or anything.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, Craig has a copy, though.
There you go. That's good.
The sad part about it all, though, is that Craig is the man who borrowed my copy for a very long time, and I get it back, and it doesn't work, and I'm like...
I had 2 copies of FF7, and I remember that one of them has a part that would always freeze at, and the other one would freeze at different points. So when I was playing FF7 a couple years ago, I would just have to switch between the two on the discs. And the disc looked good, so I'm just wondering if there's an aging process with the PS1 games that just sometimes you get kind of a bad copy of the game.
I don't know. I also I think there was a time where I think Jake had like a disc doctor, and I let him use the disc doctor on it because it was kind of scratched up. And I think those things ruin games.
Yeah, maybe it's not doctoring it. Maybe it's a malpractice doctor.
Yeah, it got its license revoked.
Yeah.
So Yeah, not a good doctor to go to.
Not a good doctor.
The disc doctor. But yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna 100% the game, but I am having a lot of fun just messing around with the job classes, learning new abilities. I got Flare the other day. Like I'm not that far in the game, so it's like ridiculous. I just there was one boss that I think he had like 260 HP, and I just one shot him with
that's awesome.
With Flare. Yeah, and it took every magic point I had, all of my MP, because I shouldn't have it right now, but I did, and it's fucking nuts. It sucks though, because the spot that I got stuck in, like, I would have been fine if I would have been stuck in an area where I can go and like do random battles and grind out job points to get new abilities and stuff like that, but I can't, because the area I'm in right now is like I'm in a corner, so I only have one path forward, and that path is to that next town that freezes on me. It's like I can't even work towards Medio.
You gotta are you gonna force Craig to give the copy?
He said I could use it.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll just trade it out. He won't know.
Yeah, it is kind of forcing Craig, because you have to go pick him up to record Nude Clan. So
yeah,
it's like, give it to me or else you ain't getting a ride, boy.
Yeah, exactly. I can ultimatum the thing. So,
so I am 100% not in the game at all. Let me explain, guys. So last week, I of course talked about the fact that Tactics was not in the place where it was supposed to be at, and it was actually over here in my Crisis Core case. I assume it's my Crisis Core case. I'll find out when I get home. I put that thing, because I'd sleep over here one night and then I leave the next day. I put that Crisis Core case, I put it on top of my shit. Not my actual shit in the toilet or anything, but like my stuff that I was going to take with me to go back home with.
Okay.
I put it on top of the pile. I remember this. I was like, okay, this and some other shit that we were messing with, like our camera equipment. Obviously, you'll hear that the sound is different this time than it was last time.
Yeah.
We decided to go back to the old thing. Hopefully, we didn't make any mistakes. We'll find out. I put the fucking game on top of that shit. Something must have moved, and it must have slipped off, and I just did not grab it on the way home. So I was about in Salt Lake, which is 45, 50 minutes away from here. More than halfway to my place of the drive.
Yeah.
And it was then that I had this sinking suspicion that I don't remember grabbing the game and putting it in my backpack and putting that in the car. I don't remember that. And then when I got home and I unloaded all my stuff, it was in fact confirmed that I did not at all grab the game.
You know, the thing that frustrates me the most about all of it is the fact that I told you, when you got here, I was like, go put that in your car right now. I was like, go put the game, just go put it in your car.
It's in my backpack right now, by the way.
I will walk you out and I will check your backpack like a fucking crappy sales
job. You're going to walk me to my
you're
car?
Not stealing anything. I will check rummage through, open the game, touch the disc itself, and then I will let you leave.
Caress it.
Yes, I will. I'll put a fingerprint right on the UMD thing, so it's impossible to clean it.
Yep.
Because it's in that stupid fucking plastic sheet.
I swear to God, the Almighty himself, that I will start playing Tactics this week, starting tomorrow. I will not forget the goddamn game. There's no chance in hell. All right, so I will get this shit done. Besides that, so also going to add this to it. I'm going to start streaming regularly, Schweiss.
Oh.
And here's the compromise I've decided. Now, I've been dealing with kind of doing a lot of work and then coming home being kind of exhausted and not wanting to play a bunch of video games and also wanting to write and stuff like that. And what I've realized, on a good day, I have about 5 hours. On a bad day, I have about 3 hours after I get home from work, after I eat and shower.
Right.
Because I don't count that. I count that as work time. It's just, it takes up time no matter what. And what I've decided is I'm going to give 2 hours of my day each day to gaming for Nude Clan and for Ultimate Final Fantasy.
2 hours a piece or 2 hours just total?
2 hours total.
Oh, okay.
2 hours total.
That's okay.
Now, what I told you is I'm going to try to do 1 hour on each game. Some games, of course, will not let you do that because some games won't let you get to a save point or something like that. But I did it last week. I did it for Nier. I streamed every day that I was playing Nier for the third playthrough of Nier, which I finished this week. I did 2 hours of Nier, and that's it. And I cut it off right at 2 hours, or as close to 2 hours as I could get.
Right.
And I was able to watch a movie afterwards. I was able to write a little bit afterwards, depending on what I wanted to do that day. And I said, I can handle this. I can get an hour with my family, or like half an hour with my family, and shower and get ready to do the stream for 2 hours, knock that off, and then do my movie stuff afterwards, and then go to bed. I think I can handle this very simple kind of overall schedule. So if I just put in 2 hours a day, that's what I'll do. Now, we did talk steadily about, trying to get my time down for work so I can add more time to these games, and then I wanted to start beating these games every 3 weeks.
Right.
Obviously, that's not going to happen.
3? I remember a 2.
Obviously, that's not going to happen. No, that's what we compromised to, was 3. Obviously, that's not going to happen for Tactics because I'm starting it here. I'll add a few extra hours on Monday, but guys, unless Schweiss is streaming, I will be streaming every day of the week except for the days that we do the show, or if I have something else. So please, if you want to stream with me, they'll be short streams. They're not going to be 5-hour streams that like Craig or Schweiss does. But I will be streaming every single day, 1 hour of Final Fantasy Tactics at least, and then probably another hour on the Nude Clan channel of Metal Gear Solid a week. So I hope you guys join me for that. We got a nice little Elgato, and we're using the mics that we used last week. We're going to use those as streaming mics.
Yeah.
For that, so that we can both, me and Schweiss, be totally set up for streaming. I'm excited to get to it.
Yeah, I am too. And I mean, hopefully the others eventually will follow suit. I mean, we have 2 of the
Craig and Cameron for Nude Clan?
Yeah, we bought 2 of the Elgatos. I mean, you don't have to stream with that, but I think it's a lot nicer, and I think you probably agree. It looks way better than the PS4 stream, because it's like, it cuts off a ton of the stuff. Like, you have zero control over what goes in, other than the, I guess you could turn the chat off, but then you don't get to see what they're doing unless you have your phone pulled up. So,
okay.
I think it's gonna be pretty cool, and I also have the stuff to stream PSP games, so yeah. I'll let you take that with you.
Let's not forget that.
Yeah, because we need to have like an adapter that.
Oh yeah, okay. What is our Elgato setup for the old school stuff? It's something sick, right?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So to get PS3 to stream, you have to have
because the Elgato doesn't work for PS3.
Yeah, the PS3 has like security settings that refuse to acknowledge the Elgato as its god, right? So you have to get a splitter to like split the church. You've got the Protestants and the Catholics now. You've got 2, a separation of the 2.
Okay.
They're almost the same thing, and they end up being the same thing in the end. It's the crazy part, because it goes like you bring the one splitter out into your monitor, and then one into the computer, or like something. I don't know. The splitter makes it happen, though. The splitter allows the PlayStation
PSP into exports into a thing that goes to RCA cables,
right? And then
that goes into a converter that goes RCA to HDMI,
right?
HDMI into
Elgato, yes.
Elgato into HDMI splitter. Elgato is the splitter, right? Or
no, Elgato doesn't have an out. That's the crazy part. It does have an out, but we don't use it.
Splitter is before Elgato.
Yeah, we go RCA cable,
RCA
to
converter to HDMI splitter, to one side going to TV, one side going to the Elgato into the stream.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's crazy. It's ridiculous. There are like 5 million cords that.
So in case anybody was ever wondering, this has taken a year and a half to fucking figure out. By the way,
yeah, we've
been looking at equipment and be like, is this going to be the thing that lets us look at a TV while streaming? Do you have to look at the XSplits bullshit while streaming?
And then
you don't have to do that.
The suckiest part about it all is that I was so excited to have you stream Alone in the Dark that night you came over, and we find out that it can't work. It doesn't work with the PS3 unless you have a splitter.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But
now it's all...
Yeah, it's all figured out.
It's all figured out, at least for your house.
I mean, I did stream the PlayStation Portable After Years End Crisis Core game, and I just had like a really cheap game cap card, and it was just a red, white, yellow into the computer. And then it also had an out, so I could play it on the TV, but I never did because I'm playing PSP games, so it doesn't look that great on the television. But now I kind of regret not doing that because I saw how it looked last night, and it wasn't actually that bad. It was fine.
Right.
So, yeah, it's all figured out.
Yeah, I'm excited to start streaming, and also like kind of having a schedule that I can handle it basically 2 hours after I get home from work and clean up. And I should on most days be able to handle that just fine. So,
yeah.
if you want to see that, you go to twitch.tv/Ultimate Final Fantasy, or if you want to see the Nude Clan one, you go to twitch.tv/Nude Clan Gaming. Which, by the way, Nude Clan is a fantastic video game show, which is part of our network, and it's I would say it's our magnum opus. Schweiss said that a long time ago, and I think he's totally right. I think Nude Clan is like the ultimate gaming show. But and we talk about Final Fantasy a lot, in case you're missing out on the Final Fantasy talk on this show. You can tweet me at Joseph DeGolier.
Me at UFF Podcast.
You can check out our website, ultimatefinalfantasy.com. Please join our forums there. That's where you ask the questions. That's where you submit news or other segment submissions. Please leave us a review on iTunes. We'll get to those a little later in this show. And if you want to support the show, there is a Patreon link that you can support us through. Thank you very much to our Patreon donors. There's a PayPal link if you want to donate there, or you can click through the Amazon.com link on ultimatefinalfantasy.com, and that will support this show. Whatever you buy on Amazon, or whatever you click on Amazon and buy through that link, we will get a small kickback for, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah, and speaking of Amazon, this is one that I found out very recently. I guess if you guys have Amazon Prime, which if you don't and you order on Amazon a lot, you're crazy. It's like the only way to live with the 2-day shipping being free, right? If you guys have Amazon Prime, I guess you can attach it to your Twitch account, and you guys could sub to us on Twitch for free, because Twitch is owned by Amazon. So that is also another option if you guys choose to do that. Or, I mean, if you have another streamer that you like more and watch, do it for them. But, I mean, the thing is like Amazon basically has $2.50 a month that it's giving you to give to somebody else. So please use it. I totally used mine for a great streamer, Kaleb Craig, the other day on Nude Clan. And, it gives you it's like normally the sub is like $5, but Amazon gives the creator half of it, I think, is what the standard thing is.
But it's free for the person who has Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's included with Amazon Prime's
That's
purchase.
Good.
So if you guys want to do that, you can. But even if you do it for somebody else, like just do it, because it's free money that you get to pass on to another. So
awesome.
Also, 2-day shipping. It's fucking why not?
All right. Amazing. Well, we do have some news that has been submitted by both Shinru and Renetil. So let's get to that. News. All right, so first up in news, we have a trailer for a new game being developed by the people who made Bravely Default and Bravely Second. Now, this isn't technically Final Fantasy news, but it is kind of a short news week, so we might as well look at this new RPG from the guys who almost made a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah. All right, let's check it out.
Nintendo Switch game, by the way.
Oh my god. That looks very strange to me. It's a 2D sprite on a 3D world.
8 travelers.
It's like a Paper Mario-ish.
Step into their shoes.
It actually looks really cool, the design.
I could see remakes of the old Final Fantasies looking like this.
That would be incredible if they did.
8 lands, 8 stories to be told.
It would be the perfect way to approach this, actually.
You tread.
A man like me knows only the battlefield. worth only as much as the blade at my side and the arm that swings it. When that blade
Oh, it looks like an
fails to save
action.
my sworn
Oh, never mind.
lineage,
We've got battles now.
what does that make me?
I will never forget 3 men.
So we're gonna go through all 8 of the characters. You'll never forget. Schweiss, I saw that face you made.
My father from
I'll never forget
and
that
I
sweet,
will
sweet
never
gangbang.
forget.
Yeah. It looks pretty cool. If the cutscenes are like art like that, that would be kind of fun to experience.
The journey begins. Now we're seeing some real battle footage. It looks like it's something similar to the old school turn-based battles of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it does. Which is something that
It's straight up turn-based. It says it on there. That's cool.
It's something that we haven't had for a long time, and I mean, we've talked about how it's hard to make a turn-based game nowadays as it is. Just because everyone's going like action for whatever reason. Ooh, a lure. We got some dancer action.
Okay.
Embark on an adventure all your own.
Yo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, what
Project Octopath Traveler.
working title.
Working
there, right?
title. Not even like, they're like, we're not sure about this shitty title.
Yeah, we don't even know if this is what we want to call it.
I think, Schweiss, now you guys at home who are just listening to this as a podcast obviously can't see it. The visuals, sprite-based, but 3D, but like a paper 3D, like a Paper Mario-ish looking thing. But kind of fully explorable and 3D. It's an interesting look. I really do. I'll say it again. I think that's how the old sprite Final Fantasies need to be remade. That's how they should look.
Yeah, and that's kind of how.
And
they
honestly, that game, I didn't watch the trailer before we watched this. That looks like a great game. I kind of want to play it.
It looks like a lot of fun. I was thinking, like, man, I kind of wish I would have got a Switch, but I don't. And Octopath still hasn't been named, so who knows what it'll be called or when it'll come out. But I do think it looks really cool, and I like how they played around with the super good looking backgrounds, and then like just the papery character. I don't know, that's cool.
You should zoom in on that thing. So Shinru actually wrote this article, so just go ahead and talk about it. This is on our site, by the way. So Yoshinori Kitase, of course, the guy who directed FF10, he's been working on Final Fantasy for a long time, and he talked about the future of the series. And what he basically said was that they're going to focus on the Final Fantasy series mostly on player feedback. So like what they did with FF15. It looks like we're going to be getting more of that. Like that's their path forward with the Final Fantasy games, is very player feedback based. So how do you feel about that, Schweiss?
I feel I don't know. It's almost like having
It'll include, like, obviously he talks about new content and adding things, kind of like they're doing with FF15 right now, which we've complained about a little bit.
Yeah, for me, it almost feels like a make our game for us, almost kind of a situation. Which, I mean, it's good to collect feedback and to design your games based on what people want, because at the end of the day, they want to sell games. They want to make money. We want them to sell games. We want them to make good games, and we want them to stay afloat, right? Like, I don't think any of us want Square Enix to just die. But I don't know, man. It just feels wrong. Like, games that are in beta forever and ever and ever, it almost feels
Which is basically what this is proposing.
Yeah,
putting out a game and then, like, Crenital just put in the chat, just continuously patching it based on player feedback.
I don't know how interested I am in that. I mean, it basically... I used to read Goosebumps a lot as a kid, right? And, like, the idea...
I read 2 of them.
The idea of the choose-your-own-adventure, amazing. I get the choose-your-own-adventure. I'm just like, they all just kind of have the same shitty ending. Like, Goosebumps always has, like, a very unsatisfactory ending. Like, yeah, they made it, but they're fucked. Like, the sponge under the sink, it's still there, and it's never going to go away. Like, there's always, like, a good, bad ending that happens every time, and it leaves you unsatisfied, so you then must seek out the next Goosebump book as a child. That's how I feel about this kind of a scenario. Like,
I don't think Goosebumps were choose your own adventures, were they?
They had some that were.
Oh, they had some that were?
And
Okay.
they all have.
This won't be the first time Goosebumps is mentioned on the show, by the way.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I brought it up. I was thinking about it. But, I like the idea of a creator that is receptive to feedback, but I also like the idea of, like, the games of old where they just make the game. And it's out, and that is the game. Like,
And
I
then
like
move on
that.
to the next thing.
Yeah, and then they're like, you know what? All right, fine. And then I also like how a lot back then it was. The fuck is that sound? Oh, never mind. It was more like it was their game. It's their project. They are making it, so they choose what goes in. They choose what they cut. They choose what they change.
And some confidence in their art.
Yeah, some confidence in what makes them them. It's like it's as if it's like us saying, okay, how did the episode sound, and then reverting back to the mics that we're using now solely because everyone else said it didn't sound good when we know it didn't sound as good, so we reverted.
But we didn't redo the episode. We put out the episode.
Yeah, we put it out, and it was a 6
we learned from it.
Yeah.
And then we went back. And
There's no ownership if you release games this way. If you put them out in patches or make it, like a crappy product day one and then use feedback to then make it better. Now, if it is just like a really rough beta and they keep most of it hidden from us and then they punch out the game, that would be a little bit different. But
well, I was really cool with what they did with 15 before when they put out the episode disque demo and we got to play it and then they got to have feedback from us based on that demo solely. It's not the full game, right?
Yeah.
And then they made, I think, a fantastic game after that. It's maybe not the best game in the series, sure. And some people fucking hate it. But it's better than the demo.
Yeah,
at least.
Jesus.
So we got something there. They got player feedback from it, realized that many systems in there didn't work for players or were too clunky or whatever, and then they fixed it for the final... what was the final release of the game. I'm not sure if I dig all this patching. Feel like, make your game and live with it. Maybe do patching for bugs and stuff.
Yeah,
but
bugs. Yeah, sure.
Work
Support your product.
on the next big game.
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited to see is the next big one.
Yeah.
I'm not excited to see all these fucking patches. And I'm not gonna shell out the $20 for all of the DLC. I'm gonna shell out the $60 for the next game.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, I think
also as a Square holder, Square Enix. A shareholder, a Square holder. That's what they should call us, though, right?
Square holders.
Square holders. As a shareholder, Square, I think it hurts your brand to be putting out games like this, frankly, and devalues the stock.
Yeah. You have any evidence for that?
Nope, no evidence whatsoever.
All right.
I bought it at its full price. So whatever. Anyway, so if you want to learn more about that, that's going to be on our website. Shinru wrote an article. Tabata was also interviewed recently, and he talked about the ideas for the Nintendo Switch. I don't know why people are always asking Tabata about fucking ideas for the Nintendo Switch.
They're obsessed with it.
I don't fucking get it. Who gives a shit? That's how I feel. But Tabata basically said, hey, the Switch doesn't work well with our Luminous engine, which is the big engine that they made for 15. So they're probably not going to use it on there. And then I guess he was contacted by the guys from Nintendo after he did that. He said it was kind of a jokey answer, and then he wouldn't say like what he talked to the Nintendo guys about. So
he's not dismissing it completely, it sounds like, but it wasn't a serious thing. I mean, the problem is like we know Square and Nintendo have kind of a rocky history. And now Square is like, they're kind of hoity-toity about stuff, I would say. Like, they have the ultimate graphics. They have, like, everything just top-notch. And why should they dumb their stuff down for Nintendo?
God, why does Nintendo not worry about graphics?
I don't know.
That's
I mean,
what
as long as
drives
it's
me
fun, I
nuts.
guess I prefer fun games over really good-looking bad games. But it's like, it's just crazy to expect every other studio to just, like, drop their pants and drop their quality. Just let Nintendo have their way,
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Your metaphors are always rape-based.
It's not rape.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's just
They're
a surprise.
butt
It's a
sex-based.
surprise fuck.
Surprise fuck. Yeah. Bringing it back to the old super sexy days.
Yeah.
Surprise fucked.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's not quite the same. But it just feels like, I don't know. It's like it would be cool to have it on the Switch, and I mean they are developing that mobile version of 15, which I'm positive the Switch can play. I mean, it would be an absolute embarrassment if it could not play that, but I don't know.
Yeah, so Tabata also cleared up one of the, and this is a big spoiler alert, so you might want to skip forward about a minute. Tabata cleared up a spoiler for FF15, and this is that when we see the guys at the end, the other guys, Noctis is dead. He has concluded that the others are still alive, so that's been cleared up.
The other 3 live?
Yeah, the other ones live. So there's no more argument about it.
I guess we never saw him go, so. And my guys were fucking level 99, so nothing out there is going to stop him. Maybe now that we have all the DLC stuff, there might be things that will stop us, but I don't know. Back in the day, nothing could get in my way, you know? So I was like, they're not dead. They can't be. They're fucking, I ground out level after level for these people.
Also in response for something else that Tabata answered, apparently FF15's secret dungeon, the Piteous Dungeon, was designed by one man, and often it's some people complain that it's not like the rest of the game at all.
It's probably
and
why.
it's because it's just one crazy dude that Tabata freaking blows in this article about his creativity and stuff. And Tabata himself said that he could not clear the Piteous Dungeon.
Wow. I bet you Yoshi P is just like...
Were you able to clear it?
I never did it.
Oh, you never did it at all?
Yeah,
Okay.
100 hours, and I still didn't get to Piteous.
Wow.
I was trying to do all of the hardcore versions of the dungeons before that, and I got to the last one that was awful. It was Castlemark, which is a hellhole, as we all know. And I just couldn't beat, like, it was like floor 40 or something. There were 3 Iron Giants, and I can't use items. No items. It is sick.
I'm not going to touch it.
It is fucking
There's no trophy for it?
No, there's not.
Nope.
That's the sad part. They blew their trophy load, and they gave us all easy trophies in 15. So like, there's almost no drive for me to.
Tabata couldn't even clear it, and he made the goddamn game.
Yeah, but I wonder how Yoshi P feels about that though. He's like, because he plays as 14, like he does the stuff. Like, he's probably just like ashamed of his co-manager.
So we got a new release, a new Final Fantasy release, Brave Exvius, ladies and gentlemen. In case you couldn't play it on your phone, there's now Brave Exvius Tap, which is available on Facebook as we speak. Schweiss.
Facebook Brave Exvius.
Facebook Brave Exvius. I put it on your page. You can press play now if you so desire, which I don't desire, and we should click away before some loud music starts to play.
That's
and
crazy.
Last but not least, Krental did add a link to apparently a manga, Final Fantasy Lost Stranger, that was announced in January. I don't remember ever talking about it. Apparently, it follows a Square Enix employee who dies and is reborn in the Final Fantasy world. And a new one is coming out, or came out in July or something like that. But I don't think that there's an English version.
I need to know if this person is actually dead. Because that would be cool to honor you that way, and like make you a manga.
I doubt it.
Manga main.
So anyway, Prelude Rebirth was put out on July 10th. And then Defying Fate, August 14th. And then a new one called Challenge will be put out this month.
Yep, sometime in September. That's pretty cool.
So if you know Japanese, you got a manga there for you. But otherwise, yeah, it's kind of a slow news week, Schweiss. That's all we got for news.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I did love that they, as we said last week, it's such an honor to have Square Enix so close to us that they would do a Brave Exvius event on Tactics while we're playing it. So
yeah, it's nice.
Just if you haven't tried it yet, Brave Exvius is pretty decent for a mobile game. It's very Final Fantasy, so jump in, grab Delita and Ramza, and enjoy.
Schweiss, let's get to History of Square Enix Part 9. Real quick update before we get started. Krinital did say in the Twitch chat that you can read the manga we were talking about on Mangatown or mangapanda.com. Apparently, there's an English version available there. But now, let us start History of Square Enix Part 9. You can call it Final Fantasy 2000. You can call it the New Millennium, whatever you want. I haven't decided on a title for it. Whatever the title will be is the episode title. So last time on History of Square Enix, we went in depth into the year 1999, where Square was dominating on the PlayStation, and Enix was struggling to keep up its flagship title, Dragon Quest VII, of course, being delayed forever, it seems. Now, Square, of course, between 1999 and 1998, put out roughly 1 million games, and we're going to see that in 2000, there were less games. There were less games put out in 2000. So after the ridiculous panic over Y2K and the scourge of every fucking piece of media in 1999, adding the 2000 suffix onto it, including Goosebumps 2000, which is something I remembered last night. I was like, fuck. Goosebumps 2000, whatever happened to that? Dracula 2000, which was a apparently terrible movie. I've never seen it. It is. Dracula 2000 was put out, and of course, my favorite 2000 suffixed piece of media, Godzilla 2000.
Wasn't that in 98 though? Or am I thinking
it was
of
in 99. It was in 99. Okay. A lot of shit in 99 was called Blink 2000.
Yeah. You know, I didn't really realize what Y2K was for a long time. Like, I just remember, like, it was something about the dates, but, like, it was deeper than that. Like, people thought it was going to be, like, the end, the apocalypse.
All right, so everything in the late 90s was starting to be kind of run on computers like everything is now. It was sort of to that point, so the stock market and everything being ran on computers.
Right.
And the idea was that the computer, and this was not true, and they knew it. They knew it was not true, but they pushed a new fucking Windows based on this regardless. They thought that the computers would, since they didn't have the full date of 2000 or like all four numerals in there, that it was going to go to 0, and basically the computer would think time would stop. And this is real, guys.
I know.
This is so fucking stupid.
Dude,
people thought time would stop and everything would crash, and basically we'd be living in an apocalypse. A lot of people thought the end of the world was going to be in the year 2000. For some odd reason, it didn't end in the year 1000. But yeah, it's bullshit. Anyway, there was like a ridiculous like hype over the year 2000. It was kind of cool though that we got to see a millennium change.
Yeah.
But wow, the panic over that, or the fervor was ridiculous.
Yeah. Did we get a Michael Jackson song, that Party Like It's 1999? Was that him or was that somebody else?
I think that's someone else, but I couldn't tell you. Everything titled 2000. Basically, that all finally calmed down after, January 1st.
Once the world didn't explode.
Yeah, once the world didn't explode. And Square Enix, who luckily never made something called Final Fantasy 2000. That would have been a rough, some rough days right there.
Don't think
Pokemon 2000.
Oh
you
my
remember
god,
that?
yeah. Wasn't that great? But yeah, I do remember
that one had Lugia, who was a Jesus-like figure. If you ever watch it, and keep in mind Jesus, and you'll realize it's just a Christ story in Pokemon, which is very odd. Square Enix would open the year 2000 with the Windows port of Final Fantasy VIII, so it's kind of boring. That was the first thing they
were like, "Fuck it, let's port 8." Last thing we do.
The end is near. I'm pretty sure this is Square going, the end is not near at all. Let's
make some change on 8.
Let's get a little bit of seed money. Yeah. Its first big release, though, was in February, and it would see the Tactics team reunite and returning to the world of Ivalice with what game, Schweiss?
Vagrant Story.
Vagrant Story. Have you ever played a second of Vagrant Story?
Not a moment. I've seen somebody playing it on Twitch, though, for about 2 minutes.
I've played about 20 minutes worth. It is a very unusual battle system. It's like you go in to a battle with something, and you can like aim at different parts of their body.
Yeah, yep.
Is there another game that does that?
I believe it's Fallout 3, is it not?
Yes! That's exactly what it is. The VATS, it's very similar to that system.
It is, yeah. I saw that and I was like, this is the VATS. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm. It's like that. It's a little different. But it's an RPG game that has a really weird battle system. We'll get into it later on in the show, obviously. I think it's like 4 games away. That focused on puzzle solving and weapons modifications, which I'm sure you'll love, as we were talking about weapon changing in RPGs this morning before the show. Interestingly enough, Vagrant Story was actually Square's attempt to not only create a brand new IP, because in the late 90s, of course, they were working on Final Fantasy and other series that they had started, Mana and all that other shit, and the front mission games and stuff like that. They were always working with previous IP. Not always, but mostly. And Vagrant Story was like, we're going to make something new. Not only was it like going to be a new game entirely, but they wanted to create a new game genre. So that kind of unusual battle system and that puzzle solving aspect in an RPG was their attempt to make something completely new. We'll see how it does, though. We'll review it later.
Yeah.
We haven't played it, obviously. It did well commercially, famously including a demo disc of a bunch of upcoming Square titles. On the demo was included Chocobo Racing, Front Mission 3, and Chrono Cross, among many others. So it's kind of a famous demo. What was the demo that had 8 on it? Did that go with
Parasite
Tactics?
Eve.
Oh, Parasite Eve. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was Parasite Eve.
it might have been boosted by a demo, I think. On the Black Label discs of Vagrant Story, it's kind of cool to get the demo with it. I remember overpaying for my version of Vagrant Story because it was Black Labeled.
Wait, is there a demo in there?
Yeah, I think there is.
Oh, shit, I have the Black Label, too.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
I didn't even realize.
I'll
Normally
have
they
to play
have it on
old versions of these games that we're going to play in the future, or at
Yeah.
least Chrono Cross. Most impressively, though, or one of the most impressive things about Vagrant Story was that it was given the rare honor of a 40 out of 40 from Japan's premier gaming magazine, Nude Clan. I mean Fumatsu,
Yeah.
or Famitsu, or however
the
the hell you
Japanese
say it.
nude clan, as it were.
Yeah, the Japanese Nude Clan, where 4 people review out of 10, and then that's how the score is figured out. It is very rare on Famitsu, and there's just a Wikipedia page like that tells you all the 40 out of 40 games. There are not that many, and hardly any of them are Western games, by the way. I think they had one of the Call of Duties and Grand Theft Auto, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think those are the only Western games that ever got 40 out of 40. And none of the Final Fantasies have 40 out of 40, right?
I don't remember if any of the
I
FFs
think
do.
I think a couple of them have 39 out of 40s, but maybe we can find out some other time. You got the list right here.
Yeah.
It's a
Vagrant Story.
13-2 got a 40 out of 40.
12 got a 40.
And 12 got a 40 out of 40.
That's right.
There are only 18 games, is that right, that have ever gotten a 40 out of 40?
Yeah, and it looks like Skyrim is one from the West, and...
Wait, scroll down a little bit. Oh, okay. Yeah, that is the list of full ones.
Yeah,
That's
13-2
crazy.
out of 40. 13-2 is a really good game, though.
It is a really good game. I wouldn't give it 40. I wouldn't give it a perfect score, but
No, but yeah, Famitsu gives a lot of really
I argue with Famitsu a lot.
abnormally high score for most of their games, I would say, but their perfect score they are pretty stingy with, rightfully so. I mean,
really stingy with
Yeah.
perfect scores. So it is unusual for Vagrant Story to be one of those 18 games that have ever gotten a 40 out of 40, which is nuts.
yeah, it is crazy. I mean, they, like we said in the past, though, I mean, they really like to give stuff.
Of course, their top 100 games are always based on new shit. Like, no one ever plays old games.
Yeah.
Based on their user surveys, which makes them do their top 100 games of all time lists. So that's where my history of Famitsu ends. I'm like, fuck, their top 100 lists suck because they're always new. They're always new based, and that always bugs me about fucking shit. When something like Empire Magazine's list of top 100 films, like all the big budget movies in the 1970s and 1980s are the best films of all time. I'm like, no, they're not. They're really good, but come on, look at a wider view.
Yeah.
Gaming, cinema, novels, the whole world has them. You can't think that only the United States has made the top 100 greatest films of all time. Like, what?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they were all only 1975 and on. Watch Mojo drives me fucking nuts with their top 10 lists because there's nothing past the mid 70s. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, their lists usually drive me insane because, like, I get to the number 2 and I was like, wow, I thought that was going to be number 1. I wonder what they're going to put at number 1, and it always pisses me off. I'm like, oh, come on, bullshit.
You know, I think last time on History of Square Enix, I went on the same thing before. Fucking top 10 lists on Watch Mojo, man. Dude, they're awful. They're awful. Fuck you, Watch Mojo.
Number 2 is really number 1. Just remember that. No matter what.
Okay. All right. An even greater achievement, though, for Vagrant Story. The main character's gravity-defying hair actually beat out Seymour's gravity-defying hair from FF10 in the top 10 worst hairdo countdown from Game Informer.
Oh, wow. I
remember that from high school. Top 10 worst hairdos in video games, and the Vagrant Story guy was number 1. And Seymour was, I believe, number 2 or 3.
Yeah, that is...
The antlers.
The antlers are awful. That's all we can say.
But, like, the Vagrant Story guy's got, like, a weird lightning bolt braid thing. It's also disgusting. It's also disgusting. Someone said that was a good idea. Anyway, so what does Square do after this resounding success in their lineup? Well, they follow up with with an apparent piece of early PS2 shit, and this was their first PS2 game that I think this was their first PS2 game that they ever put out.
Is it the Bouncer?
I think it's only in Japan.
Oh, never mind.
I'm not 100% sure, but this game is called Driving Emotion Type S.
Driving Emotion Type S.
And the reviews and sales of the game matched its dismally bad title. It was a racing game that had the one redeeming quality, apparently, of having officially licensed real cars featured in the game.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and it was the first PS2 game put out by Square. So. Although the PS2 basically begins and ends its existence with racing titles, Gran Turismo series being probably the forefront, or Need for Speed, shit like that.
Yeah.
I doubt you could say the same thing about wrestling games. How many wrestling games have you ever played?
I played one on the N64, but that's it.
Never played a wrestling game. But the first wrestling game that was ever released for the PS2 was a Square Enix game. Or a Square soft game. Sorry, guys. I keep messing it up. It's easy to do. And this was called All-Star Pro Wrestling. A really boring title compared to the really shitty, not boring title of the last game. That was released solely in Japan on June 8th. It wasn't well received at all, but did enough business to spawn 2 sequels. To be fair, this wrestling game and the racing game, and later on they released a baseball game, they were all Square's attempt to both to try out the fancy new PS2 console without putting one of their IPs at risk, as well as expand their catalog past RPGs. That was like a big thing for them at the time. They were like, let's try to do other things. Let's expand more. Speaking of RPGs, Square's last game for the PS1 would be...
I'm going to say Final Fantasy IX.
That's damn straight. Final Fantasy IX. Now, we've already reviewed Final Fantasy IX and went pretty deep into its development history. But as a recap, it was originally a non-FF game early in development that became sort of a love letter to Final Fantasy and eventually became the next main game in the series when they were also developing 10 and 11. And then it became like... It's the last game before the double digits happens. And they know that in Final Fantasy X, they're going to bring in voice acting into it. So they decide with FF9, it's going to be an all-out love letter traditional FF game. In every sense of the word, bringing back the old classes, what they did with FF7 and FF8, where they made it like a futuristic sci-fi world thing. They scrapped that for the most part. And they really brought the series back to its roots. Now, it didn't do as well as 7 or 8 in sales. I believe 7 did initially 10 million copies. worldwide, of course. 8 did, I think, 8 million copies worldwide. 9, I think, did about 5 million copies worldwide, which 5 million seems to be about like the minimal amount new Final Fantasy game will sell.
Yeah.
It seems to be kind of the low area, which is still like pretty good for an RPG. So it did okay. I think it was probably, and I'm just speculating here, that the PS2 was kind of overshadowing it. That was already in play, and it was going to be the last Final Fantasy game on the old console.
Yeah.
So maybe that was a problem. And PS2, of course, like, now I am right about this. PS2 destroyed the PS1 in sales, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm not sure if it did it early on or if it just built to that point, but FF9 was kind of screwed from the get-go on that
plus
front.
We can tell. I mean, all of the Final Fantasies, generally they slow down as the last one of the console comes around.
They do.
It's harder to tell now because we only get one per console.
Yeah, but that has been the case except for FF6.
Yeah, except for 6.
Yeah. But 9 did do, pretty well. And over the years, and you can hear our old episodes, we had no idea this was happening. Over the years, it seems to have been, it seems to have gotten a resurgence and is now like a fan favorite. I do wonder if that's out of rarity. Like, it seems like the rarest FF game is going to be that favorite of the series. But, I'm just speculating here. I could be talking out of my ass. A lot of people love that game. I love that game. But I remember early on, it was like, I had one person I knew personally who I did plays with in high school who loved FF9. He was the only person that I knew that was like, FF9 was his favorite Final Fantasy. It was really unusual. But now it seems like, especially our listener base that we've gotten to know over the last couple of years, FF9 is just loved. It's beloved.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's a good game. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So I get it.
Yeah, it said there FF8 sold 8.5 and then FF9 sold 5 million. I know you were looking up that stuff just in case we were wrong. But yeah, I remembered. See, I remember some things. Not that the PlayStation did better than the N64. We won't talk about that again. Anyway, so a Japan-only baseball game would follow FF9, and one of the Chocobo Dungeon games would come after that. Baseball game, I couldn't find any fucking information on. Chocobo Dungeon game, I couldn't find any information on either. We only have a couple of Chocobo Dungeon games that actually made it to the States, and based on his Japanese title, I couldn't tell you if that was the one. But anyway, Square's last game of 2000 would be the much anticipated, much advertised bouncer for the PS2. You're shaking your head.
Yeah.
Why are you shaking your head?
I remember playing it with Jake. He picked it up, and I remember it being pretty bad. I did not care for the bouncer. Now, I might be wrong. I don't know. I might have been looking at it from a standpoint of someone who doesn't really like fighting games that much and found one that wasn't really that great, so I just really hated it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. What does everybody else think of the bouncer? Like, what kind of reception did this fucking thing get?
The Bouncer was a beat-em-up game that was praised for its incredible PS2 graphics. I haven't seen a screenshot of this thing. Apparently, it used some sort of smoothing technology that made it look really good at the time. What do you remember how the game looked?
I do remember it looking pretty good.
Okay. Did you play it in the PS2 era, or did you play it later? Oh, so it was a newer game.
Yeah, not in the beginning of the era, but I played it during PS2's reign.
So it was beloved for its graphics, but heavily criticized for its gameplay and lackluster story. Unfortunately, the sales were also lackluster, so that's kind of a downer being Square's last game of 2000. So although 2000 may seem like a mediocre year for Square, obviously last time we talked and the time before that, we were talking about 1999, 1998. They were fucking crazy. There were about half as many games basically released that were released in 2000 than were released in 99. And only two that really seem like classics now. Enix only had one hit.
Wow.
So Enix did publish a bunch of little... Now, I say one hit, and remember, Enix is not spending money on development. They're not developing games in-house. They are publishing games from other companies. They are putting up the the money to advertise the game and the money to print the game, and then they get their costs recouped back, and then the rest of the money goes to the development, and they might make a percentage off of that. That's kind of how development and publishing deals work. So they aren't putting in the money to make the games, thank God. But they basically, they didn't have a huge year, and they didn't have a huge year the year before. Enix is not, as in the games market, remember they also have other shit.
Yeah.
In the games market, they're not doing great. They basically had a bunch of little Japanese-only games, many that I couldn't find information for because they're Japanese-only and have really crazy Japanese titles. Many of them based on the manga licenses that Enix, of course, owned through their manga companies. If anybody gets mad at me for saying manga, I'm sorry. I know it's manga. Fuck you. It's basically what I say to that. But their titles, there were only 2 games I could really find information on. And they're really the only 2 games, I guess, probably worth noting. There's one called Love Story and one called Dragon Quest VII.
Oh, okay.
Now, Love Story looks like Zero Story because it uses this little O symbol with a X through it, which is, of course, what I do when I'm trying to differentiate when I'm handwriting 0 and O. Apparently, that symbol means love.
Oh.
Fucking never seen that symbol in my life except when I was researching this stuff. So someone else will know and be like, of course it means love. Like, I've never seen it. I was calling it Zero Story until I read about it. Anyway, so Zero Story, Enix's first game on the PS2. It was developed by General Entertainment, and it's actually like an FMV dating sim game.
Oh, wow.
The cover to this game did not look like it was going to be a live action video dating sim game, but that's what it is. Now, it also apparently mixed in rhythm gaming elements into it, but and it was kind of their big push for a PS2 title with these, you can do live video on this, or not live video, but you can do video on this thing. It'll look pretty good. But it didn't do too well. And it didn't do too well in reviews, and it didn't do too well in sales either. But it was, I do wonder how many of those, because we make fun of Japanese gaming with those dating sims. Obviously, Huni Pop is a very famous version now.
Yeah.
Which, of course, you have downloaded onto your computer, and we played a few minutes, and it's very interesting.
Yes, very.
This seems like a Japanese oddity. I don't know any Western dating sim games. Do you? At least not on a main console. I'm sure there's apps out there that are ridiculous.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that's a main console game that's a dating sim. Not off the top of my head.
All right. Well, that's kind of... I do wonder where the dating sim started. It seems like this is an earlier one, but I could just be talking out of my ass. So that's one that was notable outside of little anime games. And the thing that kept Enix afloat, though, through the video game industry was the game that was, the year before, delayed a lot.
Yeah.
And this was Dragon Quest VII. Dragon Quest VII did very well. It was an instant hit in Japan, and at 4.06 million copies in Japan, almost immediately on release, it became the best-selling PS1 game in Japan. So obviously, we've talked about this before. Final Fantasy games do really well outside of Japan and do pretty well in Japan. And then Dragon Quest does really well in Japan and not that well outside of Japan.
Yeah, the only big exception to that would probably be FF12. I mean, it became the fastest selling Final Fantasy game because it sold like 1.2 million the first day.
In Japan?
Yeah, it was like disgusting.
And it didn't do that, like, it didn't do the same business here as FF10 did.
No, yeah.
But you're right. I mean, like, they of course, the last one on the console, as you said before.
Yeah, a big hit in the beginning that fizzles quick.
Notable about Dragon Quest VII, besides its incredible sales, was that it was the last Dragon Quest game given the title Dragon Warrior in North America, which I guess in Dragon Quest VIII is when they finally They did almost what they did with FF7, where they're like, okay, we're going to fix this for our international audience. We're going to give it the actual name. And so Dragon Quest VIII on, of course, now they're actually titled Dragon Quest.
Right, yeah.
So Dragon Quest would go on to win a bunch of awards, which FF9 wouldn't win, and would start a slow move into legendary. Excuse me. It would go on to win a bunch of awards, which FF9 wouldn't win. But FF9 would start its slow move into legendary status. Very slow move into legendary status in the minds of FF fans. And of course, when Metacritic is created, it does the best on Metacritic for some reason. And neither company would ever see the success that they had in the late 90s again, at least apart. And as early as the year 2000, there were rumors of a merger between Square and Enix. And that was what was on the horizon. So that was the year 2000 for Square and Enix. A kind of a downer year, obviously. We got 3 good games out of those, 3 big games out of those. I've, of course, only played one of them. Vagrant Story, FF9, and on the Enix side, you got Dragon Quest VII.
Right.
But 1999, 1998 were far better years for them. So I do wonder... I wonder what happened. Maybe they just had too many games in development. They got them all released. This new console, obviously adjusting to it. So maybe it was just kind of a lesser year for them.
Yeah. They weren't quite as excited about Y2K as everybody else.
Yeah. Or maybe they thought Y2K was going to happen. So they're like, well, let's just slow it down because maybe this will be apocalyptic and all this work will be for nothing.
Yeah,
how about
maybe.
that?
Maybe. Who knows?
I can't believe that we called everything 2000 back then.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What the hell is that? I was just thinking about that last night. Like, what is that? Why?
Why do we go to such great lengths?
Oh, it's so dumb.
It is weird. It's very strange. But I mean, it is a changing of a millennium. But still, it's still odd to just like put your IPs on the sideline for this new 2000 title. It's strange. But I mean, we all know that these last 2 years haven't been that great for Square, but 2001 does bring a very important entry into the Final Fantasy series with Final Fantasy X coming out.
That's true.
A game destroyed.
All right. Well, let's. We got some questions we need to answer there.
We do indeed. Let's dive into those.
Questions for us. We would like to hear from you. Contact us on Twitter. Get on and ask your questions. We'll answer them within a week. This is the question segment. Ask and you will receive.
Yes. So we've got a couple questions here for this week. The first one is from Riathmus. Third Secret of Mana game is the title. I heard on the show that you guys might skip the third Mana game given no English version is available.
Correct.
Have you thought about playing the unofficial fan translation version? The translation is very good, and as far as I can recall, not buggy at all. Unfortunately, it does involve playing the game on emulation, but the developer has decided to not make this game available outside of Japan. Would you invoke the availability exceptions to the piracy rule? It will be a shame if you skip this game, given, in his honest opinion, it's by far the best game in the Mana series.
Oh, wow. Fruff says, didn't they just release it on the Switch? Nope.
Well, they did. It's just, I think it's Japanese only, is what it is. Yeah. I looked at it. They're not translated, so that's great.
We have talked on Nude Clan about piracy, and we did talk about it on UFF.
What?
Now,
okay.
I personally think piracy is stealing. But my exception for piracy still kind of is, look, if Square apparently doesn't want my money at all, and I would have bought this game legally had they released it in the States.
Well,
but because they didn't release it in the States, fuck it. At that point, sure.
You know what I say? If we buy the Secret of Mana collection and it's on there, I think it should be pirating isn't a problem if you already own the game. If we buy the Secret of Mana collection...
Because you paid for it, sure.
And we own a copy of Secret of Mana 3, we just don't have the English one, then we pirate the English one. It's not stealing in my eyes.
Okay.
especially because it's a fan translation. It's not really even theirs. It's just someone rewriting the script for it. I think that is totally acceptable. Like if I have a copy of Tactics Advance, but I have no way of streaming it, if I emulate it, I can stream it. Now, is emulation stealing? It can be, but if I already own the game, I can play it just fine. I'm just only emulating it.
You play guilt-free.
Yeah, I don't have any guilt about it. I am playing a game that I have sitting on my shelf. I'm just playing it in a different way.
Sure.
So that I can actually stream the damn
Yeah, I
game
can understand that.
Finding the thing that lets you play Game Boy games on the GameCube, which is impossible to get a hold of. With the disc,
I do feel better about that than straight up stealing a game.
Yeah, it's like, what if your PS2 breaks? Like, you could download that thing that lets you play FF12 on your PC.
Yeah, it's like when you own a CD and you decide to burn yourself a copy to have in the car.
Yeah, because the old version is scratched. You still bought it. Yeah,
you still bought it. Yeah,
and it's even crazier when you get into like used game territory, because then it's like, well, Square didn't really make money off of me buying that Tactics Advance 2 used. So it's like, maybe I am stealing.
But I would say to Square, look, if you want my money, you just got to release it in English here.
Yeah.
Then I'll buy it.
Yeah, I agree, Jake. As long as you bought the game, who cares if you emulate it after the fact? I think that's fair.
Yeah, I do agree with that. But, God, I can't believe people argued with me like incessantly about the Nude Clan piracy episode.
Oh yeah, people hated my thoughts on piracy too. Like someone on the YouTube channel just shit on me about it.
Look, if I had a product and 1/3 of them were being just given out for free without my consent, I would not be okay with that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And
I'm sorry that I feel for the millionaires for a second there. Like, and they're definitely not all millionaires. And
yeah. Well, the crazy thing is whoever it was on YouTube was like, well, some of us don't have the money to...
well, then don't fucking buy it.
I know, that's what I said. I'm like,
at that point, oh my God, I don't have the money to get this thing. I need to steal it.
Yeah.
The only time that would be a good thought process, you're a fucking bad person, by the way, if you think that way. The only time that's a good thought process is when it's dealing with food that you need and you're starving.
Yeah.
You can be Jean Valjean and steal a piece of bread.
Yeah.
That's fine. But like it's a video game. It's not a required thing to keep yourself alive. There's no good reason to steal it.
Exactly.
No good reason.
That's the thing. I was like, you don't need it. It's a want. It's
a want, not a need. Exactly.
And you want to steal it. And it's not anyone else's fault but yours that you're going to steal it. Well,
but I want it, and I can't afford it.
Yeah, some of us can't buy these $120
I need to steal it.
PS1 classics. I'm like, well, then you don't fucking get it.
You know, that's how
tell you.
That's how a fucking drug addict thinks. Is I need this thing. Of course, they have like a chemical dependency on it, so it's a little bit more understandable than the games, but still not. I need this. I'm going to have to steal this to get money to get this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like you realize you're a bad person, right? At that point, like, God, I wish there was a hell because then you could actually go to it, you asshole.
Yeah, it's pretty garbage.
Yeah.
If you don't, I don't know. That's like I could say the same thing about like a house, a car, any of that. And then it should be the same argument where people wouldn't.
Jake is putting video games should be a human right.
Yeah.
No, it shouldn't. This is fun shit. It's not anything else. And if you really want it, well, fucking get a second job for like 3 days, a day and a half to get the $60 to buy a new game. You can fucking work at McDonald's for just like a couple days and you'll be able to afford that thing, right? That's so dumb. It's so fucking dumb. God damn it. All right.
Yeah, it is pretty dumb.
Right.
We got another one here from Taku Amazuki. Theme
But I
songs.
need it.
Since Joe and Caleb seem to bash on most of the theme songs that Square has
That's
put on their
because most
games,
of them are terrible.
how about we start suggesting what we think would have been better options? Pick a few of the FF games that have vocal theme songs, let's say at least 3, and replace them with any song of your choosing. It can be from a band, a vocal theme song from another game even. Just something you think would be a better fit for the games you chose. All right, instead of having the Slayer mock band in the beginning of 10, have Slayer and have him playing Angel of Death when Sin comes in and just destroying everything. That'd be fucking awesome.
Okay, all right.
I'd
live
whip
with
it
that.
out to that. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, that was always put around as a Rammstein song when it was not a Rammstein song. So let's put a real Rammstein song in there, like "We're All Living in America." That'd be.
When the sim comes in.
It's like, what is Square trying to say with this song?
Wonder bra. Like, what the fuck?
We got an email this week talking about what was the word he used? Like subjective or object. I can't remember. Basically saying, it's okay for other people to like music that you don't like. I don't like Metallica is what he was saying. And yeah, we get that, but we host the show and we fucking hate these goddamn songs. Okay.
Relativism. That's what it is.
Relativism. Okay.
I am, it's...
That's fair. You can like these songs, guys. It's okay. But you can also have a thick enough skin that when you hear two podcasters joking about a song that you like, you can handle it.
Yeah, well, here's the
That's
relativism in it. It's relatively awful to listen to Eyes on Me. I find it objectively bad.
I don't think you can look at those lyrics as an English speaker and say that they are good lyrics.
I think if
Eyes on Me.
I think if
especially.
you can, you are in denial as a human being.
So look, it's okay for you to like shit that we don't like. Yeah. Obviously, this is super subjective. And Final Fantasy, of course, we like certain games other people don't like. I really love FF15. A lot of people shit on it, even on their streams on Twitch. If I ever say anything good about FF15, someone's going to complain, which is odd to me. Like, can't we just love things? But it's okay. It's okay if you like something. I fucking hate those goddamn songs, dude. They're terrible. They're awful.
All right, so we've got Final Fantasy X with the Slayer track and the Rammstein track.
Yes.
What else would you replace?
Okay.
I will replace Eyes on Me with My Heart Will Go On.
That's probably what they were trying to emulate.
Well, they didn't.
And Heart Will Go On is a much, much better song. Even though it is overplayed as shit and now it's easy to make fun of. I did make it my ringtone in high school for fun. Other people would laugh and I would laugh at it too. That's when everybody had ringtones on instead of their vibrating stuff. People would actually turn on their sound on their phone. I feel like people don't do that anymore. It's weird. But I do think I think My Heart Will Go On is better. I still think that scene with personally, Schweiss, I don't think that a vocal theme song should ever be in the middle of a scene with people talking, be it in video games or movies. It drives me absolutely insane, especially a heartfelt love piece not used ironically. It's very rarely well done. My least favorite version of this is at the end of the Disney version of Prince Caspian. A horrible song starts to play, and that's when I started to laugh at the end of Prince Caspian, which was this very... It's not that great of a movie, but it's this very touching moment between characters, and suddenly this song starts to play where the song is a little too close to what's going on in the scene. So it's I think Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino, they both use music really well in a good sense. But FF8 scene where they're meeting on the ship and they're like, "Ooh, I'm sitting on your lap in zero gravity," whatever that scene. I think would actually be improved by not having a vocal track at all, and you can just make that song into just a piece of music, just a piece of non-vocal music.
Yeah.
And I say the vocal is in a pop sense, not like you can do that sometimes,
but
I also, a chorusy sort of thing.
I also I saw you at the end of Nier, and you didn't like the theme song they had there either. And I think that one actually fits really well with the game. So I like it. I don't like it as in I'm going to listen to the song outside of Nier, but I do think it fits.
The Nier is an exception in my mind.
Oh, okay. So you weren't hating
it.
I thought I remember watching.
I'm always put off immediately by vocal tracks, so I just automatically fuck, I hate this. But most of the Nier tracks I actually thought were really good, and what was really good about them is that they obviously they made up a language or something like that. So I'm not hearing actual, like, I think there was one English song in there, but I'm
at the very end.
Yeah, that's probably the one I had a problem with.
But
most of the time through Nier, you don't understand the words, and so it's almost like just another instrument. So it doesn't bug me.
Okay. All right, so we've got...
I would say fucking just get rid of the vocals. I know he wants us to replace something. I don't think anything could replace something in that scene and not be super corny. Still.
Yeah. What one do you dislike the most next, then? I say replace Melodies of Life from 9 with Melodies of Life by Megadeth, the cover.
Ah, yes.
And then,
of course.
we hear her up on the castle singing it in Dave's voice.
Yeah, that's good. That's good shit.
Melodies of Life. And then, like, Zidane is just like, what?
I don't know. That's difficult. I don't like any of that. I don't like fucking pop songs in the middle of scenes when I'm trying to hear voices. Probably I don't know if it's just my brain, because I always kind of like my ear wants to go to whatever the music thing is. So I'm always super distracted by music. I don't know what it is, but I can't stand it. Frankly, Taku Amazuki, I could not replace. If it was just in the credits, that'd be something different. But in the middle of the game, in the middle of these scenes, I can't think of a replacement track that I would be happy with.
Or how about this? How about we replace all of them with the Answers song from 14, because it fits everything.
Oh yeah, that's a wonderful one.
And then we do the one for Distant Worlds. We do Distant Worlds song. Every other game needs to have one of those two songs. So, like, Final Fantasy 16 will have Distant Worlds, and then Final Fantasy 17 will have Answers again.
But I wouldn't call those pop songs.
So they're not the theme song, you know? I think it's totally the theme song.
Oh, they're the theme songs. I'm talking about pop songs. It's like the style of music is not these. The fuckers that I have a problem with are the pop songs. Now, there are good pop songs out there. I am a person who likes pop.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're the only one here that actually likes pop.
I do like pop. Believe it or not. Now, I don't like them as much as my probably homoerotic love for both Megadeth and Metallica, but I do like pop. I'll listen to some pop every once in a while. I don't have a problem with it. I do have a problem with it in the middle of these fucking emotional scenes. I think it's bad most of the time. I think it's used in a bad way. I'm sorry.
I agree.
Actually, I'm not sorry, because I'm right. Okay. What is this?
All right, it's another one from Troy. It's titled Ultimate Cringe. Well, since the phone line is dead, I guess. Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Don't call the phone line for a little while. We might be changing our number. We don't know yet. We got to contact Skype because they're Skype updated, and now it's like our phone line that we paid for is gone. So
yeah, it's not good.
We're not happy about it.
What are some of the most cringy things you've thought of for the show, but maybe never carried through with because you were too embarrassed or thought after a while that it wouldn't work? We've already done those things, is the problem.
We did all the cringy stuff.
The cringy ones, for me, have been the cooking ones. I hated that in the beginning.
Really?
But then I loved it because it was
cookie ones.
A nice little side of pork that was fucking good. That, and then the pinup girl.
Yeah, we were porking.
Pinup girl, pinup guy.
Pinup guy contest is the most cringy thing that we actually carried out.
But we don't not carry him out.
And we got shat on because I chose Gladiolus as the sexiest man, and I guess whatever, people don't like the mullet.
Yeah, you can cut the hair.
Sure.
You can always, unless it's me, it'll grow back, right? Any cringy memories with Final Fantasy?
Yes.
Such as someone walking in on you listening to 1,000 words or cheesy dialogue and you had to explain or deal with the awkward silence afterward. Joe, this is all for you.
Because I've lived with other people. I've had to play Final Fantasy in secret. Mostly just getting looks from my parents of like, what is this? What the hell are you watching? That's been a problem. I had a girlfriend in high school that I tried to convince to play these Final Fantasy games, and it did not. She started to play FF10, and at the laughing scene, I remember we were laughing about that because I did warn her about it. I said, this is going to be the worst thing you've ever seen, but trust me, you got to get through it, and everything will be fine. But yeah, that's about what I got. Are you you having some heroin addiction? What are you?
What?
You just need some quick cocaine?
Yeah. All right. So my what?
Yeah. People on the podcast don't know. Schweiss was running around like a maniac. I don't know what the hell he was doing.
Nothing's going on. It's
Okay.
fine. So for me, Final Fantasy. Oh man, the laughing scene with 10. I kind of embrace it.
You can embrace it now. Could you embrace it then?
No, probably
No,
not.
it was
Actually.
horrible. It was horrible, dude.
I
I would laugh at it. I'd be like, this is a great game with a great story, but god damn, that scene is like my stomach like churns thinking about it. And the song Eyes on Me in the ship on my stomach also churns hearing that song.
I cringed pretty heavily at the Final Fantasy X-2 Real Emotion song as well, because that whole opening chapter or whatever you want to call it is just it is such a cringeworthy moment in the game and the franchise history. It is the most cringe I've ever run into, I would say, and possibly in all of gaming. Like 13.2 is pretty weeby in a lot of ways, but it's like responsible with it. I don't know how to explain. Like it does it well. Like yeah, there's a lot of weird shit, and like Lightning Returns has a lot of weird shit with the Moogles and like how they are perceived, but it's all good. Like I like it. I like the Moogles. I like the Moogle village. They're funny. It like works. It's really weird, and you like throw the Moogle, and it has like a weird mechanic and shit like that. But it works within the game. What doesn't work for me is the Charlie's Angels-esque opening to Final Fantasy X-2.
YRP.
And it's so it makes it, dude. It is embarrassing.
I can't play it with other people around. I had to turn the volume way down in my room. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
I made sure no one ever saw me playing this game.
It is insanely cringy. And 10-2 lets up near the end, but there is cringe thrown throughout the game. Like the weird brother stuff where he's like crushing on Yuna, you know, a relative of his. There's just so much that disturbs me. And like FF5, you know, we had the dancers. Those weren't cringe. Like they can do it. They can do weird sexual jokes.
That was actually funny.
Not cringy, but they just do not any longer.
Or the shoe puff dude.
Yeah. Painful.
God, I like.
No awkward silence usually, but my girlfriend doesn't like FF10 though, because there are so many cutscenes. It's just too much. It's
too
like
much.
a movie instead of a game.
Yeah, I could see that.
But no cringe there, other than just the absolute length of the fucking scenes. But I love it, so it doesn't matter.
FF13. Every time Vanille spoke, the first time I played the game, it was like, ugh.
It's just embarrassing.
It's just too little girly, too high pitched.
Yeah.
But now I've gotten used to it.
What about cringy suggestions? Ever had a fan say you should try doing this, and we're just like, nah.
No.
For episodes?
I have not really. Do you remember anything?
No, we don't say, nah, we just don't do it, unless we like the idea. And a lot of the ideas...
Even if we like the idea, we'll put it off forever and never do it, right?
True, yeah. Like the Naboo Spotlight, that took a long time. We've been talking about it forever. But, I don't know. It's usually like it's not like a cringy idea. It's just one that we've either thought of doing. Like we had a big list of like potential episode topics, things that we were interested in. The list is now gone. I don't know where, but a lot of those have been resurfaced from like requests. Like, you know, someone sent us a request to do a big lore episode on the lore of Final Fantasy 13.
Shinru.
Yeah, which is there's a lot in there.
There's a lot in there.
So
I'm
that would
afraid
be
to
a
do
pretty good episode, and that is one that I think we have to do at some point. We just haven't yet done. So not really cringy with the suggestions. I think you guys are pretty decent about it.
Other people that had cringy moments, at least Shinru responded.
Oh yeah, FF10-2 mini massage game. That one is pretty cringeworthy. That one's pretty intense. Rob Lennon said he was cringing when he heard our Kanzen FF7.
That doesn't count.
I didn't think Joe was going to make it through, but he did.
Because of the
disgustingness.
the worst thing I've ever heard in my life thing. Yeah, it was disgusting. All right,
we got another quickie here. Corey Bonsack says, beating Yzmat. I got the Platinum Trophy for FF12 Zodiac Age. Congrats, by the way. One of the trophies was that I had to defeat Yzmat. I beat him in the trial mode and not in story mode. Can I still count that? When someone asks me if I beat Yzmat, can I say yes? Or do I have to say in the trials only? I think his HP is adjusted. It might be adjusted
This
for
is only in
entire-
Zodiac Age.
It might be adjusted for the
Okay.
entire game, though. So I don't think he has the same amount regardless. I might be wrong about that, but I heard somebody say that, and I haven't gotten to where I feel comfortable beating Yzmat because I can't beat Zodiark, so I definitely can't be fucking Yzmat. And so I don't know. I would say that this is a similar situation to calling audiobooks reading.
Hold on.
And
Isn't there a trophy for beating Yzmat?
yeah, but you can do it in trial mode.
Oh, well, sure. If the trophy
And it counts
says
it in the bestiary, too.
If the trophy says it, I say sure.
I would say if the trophy says it and the bestiary does say...
Did
hey,
it take you 4 hours though?
Yeah, you beat Yzmat. Well, you have times 4 speed, so
Okay, did it take 1 hour?
probably. Although the thing is
In trial mode, is he as I would look up, is trial mode Yzmat different than regular Yzmat?
Yeah.
And if he isn't, well then you should do it for yourself. I mean, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be a bragathon, but if you really want to beat Yzmat, feel like you beat Yzmat, if he is different in the regular mode versus the trial mode, then yeah, you should beat him in both.
Yeah, finish the hunt. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you have to... Oh, does it count as beating the hunt? I guess it would if you got the platinum, because you have to beat... Oh, man, I don't know if you do, actually. I don't think there's a trophy for completing all the hunts. I think beating Yzmat is a trophy, but you don't have to beat Yzmat hunt mode. You just have to beat Yzmat, period.
I don't know.
What you could do is play Revenant Wings and go into the Midnight Deep dungeon and beat Yzmat there and count it good.
Yeah.
He does not have 50 million HP. I know for a fact, unless I am hitting for way more damage than I should be in that game.
Or instead, you could kill yourself and basically have a much better time than playing Revenant Wings. Help with completing FF10, huh?
Oh, man. Rob Lennon, he's playing FF10 for the first time. Great game. Awesome game. I have
Fantastic
just
game.
Lady Unaleska, and I have access to the airship. I can go almost anywhere now. I thought about going into Sin and trying to beat the game. However, I believe that I am underleveled. My characters are in the 3,500 to 4,000 HP range. I have a couple celestial weapons, but do not have much of the items needed to change them into the ultimate weapons. I also have not unlocked any ultimate skill nodes, full life, flare, ultima, quick hit, etc. I am looking for what the best ways are to grind and get better prepared for the final chapter of Final Fantasy X. Do I gather monsters for the monster arena? Yes.
Yes.
Are there any maps that are best for hard grinding? While heading to Besaid, I came across Dark Valifor, and he destroyed me. Where is the best grinding, and at what point should I consider being strong enough to fly into Sin and complete this great game? Anyone who knows, feel free to answer. Thank you.
After you finish the Monster Arena stuff, you'll be fine.
Yeah, once you've gone through all of the fights for Monster Arena, you won't have any problems. Also...
FF10 was a harder game when I didn't do extra stuff. When I did extra stuff, like I didn't get the platinum, but I worked on trying to get the platinum. If you do that, Rob, if you just start going, okay, I'm going to try to get the platinum, everything that'll give you a new weapon or will give you nodes for a new thing in your stats, if you go towards that stuff, or if you do the Monster Arena thing where you have to get 10 of each monster in the game,
Yeah.
you're going to level up to a point where you're not only going to be ready to beat Sin, it's going to be easy to beat Sin. Dark Valifor, however, all you need to do is throw a Phoenix down on him. So
No, not Dark Valifor.
not Dark Valifor?
You're thinking of the undead Evray.
who's Dark Valifor?
Valifor is the summon. And that's in the... He's one of the hyper difficult summons in the remaster.
But Valifor is one of the low level summons, isn't he?
Yeah. He's easier. I was able to kill him
Okay.
just without cheating and using Yojimbo.
Well, I'm trying to get back to my first playthrough of 10, like in my mind.
Well, your first playthrough wouldn't have had Dark Valifor. He's a international.
Oh, that's
only.
right.
Yeah.
Shit.
So you're thinking of Evray, who's undead.
Do you have to go through that stuff? Do you have to in the new one?
No. I mean, if
Okay.
you want the platinum, yeah, but...
Well, then, Rob, if you're just trying to get to the end, I think you should just go for it. And if you have to level up a little bit, then you level up a little bit.
Yeah, Corey Bonsack says Omega Ruins is the best place to farm XP. It is. You do need to save or
It is. It's a
die.
pain in the ass, though. So if you're under leveled, that's not a good area. I would go to the plains first and then move your way in.
Calmlands, yeah. That's not
Yeah, Calmlands. Xanarkin's a good place to level up as well once you get to Xanarkin.
He does bring up the XP trick in the monster arena, but it's game breaking. No, it isn't. The game doesn't break. The game just rewards you copiously. You can throw... Oh, man. I'm trying to think of what I did. I honestly cannot remember what it was, but I know it was something to do with the Toneberry, Don Toneberry. Once you collect all of the extra enemies, so I would do the monster mini game, and then you go into a fight with Don Toneberry, and you change. Oh fuck, I don't remember.
Yeah, there
I
are
can't
certain
recall.
monsters in the monster arena that will give you nodes for stat boosts.
Yeah, they will.
So use them.
Well, and you can use those items that give you. There are like items that make the enemy drop the certain nodes, but
Yeah.
you can get. There's a guy in there, and I cannot remember who it is, and I think it's the Toneberry guy. But you can get like a shitload of XP, like 100 levels at each go, and then you can just farm the respective spheres to
Yeah.
fill in those nodes.
I do remember that being a pain in the ass, though.
Yeah. So there are ways to hyper grind the game. I would say you can probably beat it though if you have a couple of the weapons. 10 isn't a hard game. So if you do feel like you don't want 100% it, Rob, go ahead and just go to the end. See what it's like. If you can't beat it, then obviously make a second save file. Go back in and go for it. Yeah, it's an easy game though. I've always said that 10 is one of the easier ones, and I still believe it.
All right, as we talked about before, and there's actually a thread in the question segment, but it's not really a question. There was feedback on our audio from last week, and we decided we're going back to the old setup. So,
Yep.
more negative than positive, that's for sure, on my Twitter and on this forum.
Yeah, so thank you guys for submitting your thoughts on that.
Do we have any reviews, Twice?
We, you know what? We do not, as far as I can tell. None in the U.S. at the very least.
Oh,
so.
God.
Are you prepared for this?
I think so. Are you prepared for this? Is my question.
I have to be. It's not up to me anymore.
enjoying yourself?
It's a good reminder to go onto iTunes and please review the show. Schweiss, we got a question from us to our audience.
We do. One from last week. Okay, so last week I foolishly asked, what other games should we add to our mega list for the podcast?
And we're asking this because we made a list. Some people said, why isn't this game on this? And then it was like, oh, maybe it should be on that. And so this is like well, is there anything else we accidentally missed
Yes.
to put on our list?
Here's what Shinru has a nice little chunk of games here. Super Mario RPG is on the list, right?
No.
Developed by Square, features FF music scored by Nobuo Uematsu, and features special FF secret boss. Game used ideas from SNES
Secret?
FF turn-based games. To this day, Nintendo doesn't own the characters like Geno from this game. It is all owned by Square. Great game, by the way. It's got a little video, has some spoilers apparently. Tobal N1 featured FF7 sample disc. It's FF related then?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so Super Mario RPG, no, it's not a Final Fantasy game just because it has some music from it. And it's the people are not the reason it's a Final Fantasy game. It's like it's not just because Hironobu Sakaguchi touched it that it's suddenly a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah.
It's got to be something that like either was going to be a Final Fantasy game, is a distant sequel to a series that started as a Final Fantasy game, or it's got to straight up say it's Final Fantasy, or have Final Fantasy characters prominently in it.
I think the big
I don't
problem,
think nods and winks to a series are enough.
I think the big problem with that statement is that we have two games at the very end with the Bravely Default and Bravely Second.
They were originally a Final Fantasy game.
I don't think they were.
Bravely Default was originally going to be a Final Fantasy game. They decided to call it something else.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yes.
Maybe I am wrong.
That's why I
don't know.
put it on the list.
All right, well, then I guess we're safe.
Yeah.
He says Xenosaga, since we're doing Xenogears. You're playing Final Fantasy Mystic Quest and FF Adventure. Would be nice to play Final Fantasy Legends 1 through 3, even if it's FF only in North America.
It's not a Final Fantasy game.
Got to try the Saga series, no? No.
No, we don't.
Chocobo Racing
No, that would
multiplayer.
add so much fucking shit. No. Final Fantasy Legend has only ever been a Saga series game. It's never been a Final Fantasy game. I refuse.
Yeah, I refuse on that one, too.
Okay,
And I
alright.
bought it. Chocobo Racing multiplayer would be fun for us. Maybe stream it. Chocobo's Dungeon 2, PS1. Chocobo Tale is a fun minigame collection on DS. Chocobo's Dungeon Wii. This is a hidden gem on Wii. I swear it has fantastic music. Secret of Evermore has Cecil in it for SNES. It is not a Mana series game.
Okay.
That's not enough. I don't think one character is enough.
It depends on how prominent Cecil is. Is Cecil who he was in FF4 like Cloud is in Kingdom Hearts? That's my question to you, Shinru. Because I
Alright.
don't know. If he is at that sort of prominent of a level, then yes. If he's like a bonus unlockable thing, then no. Chocobo Dungeon games, I already said I'm going to add them, so that's fine. I am interested in playing Secret of Evermore, but maybe not for this show.
Yeah.
Mario Hoops 3.
Yeah, I guess it's developed by Square Enix, and you face off against a special FF basketball team, and then you can play as those characters.
Oh, shit.
I don't know.
That might have to be done. If we're counting air gaze, we might have to count that.
Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS. Hey, Cloud is a DLC character, and there is an FF7 stage. Einhander and Brave Fencer Musashi are great Square games from the PS1
Einhander.
era that have been referenced in FF games, World of Final Fantasy. You guys have played or are playing most of the Square games from this era, so it would be cool if you played their other good ones.
Not close enough.
Yeah, Saga,
But a good idea.
Saga Frontier 1 and 2 had FF people work on them for PS1.
No, doesn't count.
Parasite Eve 3 for Nude Clan.
That will probably happen.
And,
it will be Craig Craig or Cameron. Cameron is the one who hasn't played one of those games.
Yeah, but I want Craig to play it.
Why?
I just think he needs to play it.
Here's what I was thinking we were doing with the Parasite Eve games. Remember, I played Parasite Eve 1, Craig plays Parasite Eve 2, and then Cameron would play Parasite Eve 3, and you would play all 3 of them.
Yeah.
That would be the pattern. Unless
I don't
3
know.
is supposed to be bullshit, and you want to see Craig scream over it.
It's supposed to be bullshit as far as the story is concerned. I don't know about.
Yeah, but a lot of good games and good suggestions on there. Shinru, I'm gonna look at the Chocobo ones, and I'll look into Secret of Evermore.
Yeah, he does say that put the 4 Chocobo games on the list and Super Mario RPG, and he'd be happy.
Mario RPG is not enough. Same people being involved does not make it a Final Fantasy. I realize that it's a very cool version of Mario, and it's like Mario and Final Fantasy put together, but it's not. There's no actual FF characters that are prominently featured in it. I can't say. Oh, and the fighting game I'll look at too. Definitely.
Yeah. So Fruff seconds the need for Super Mario RPG. He really wants us to play that. Doesn't think the list needs to be as strict as some people say. The list can be whatever the hell you want. Super Mario RPG was a great game made by Square. I think it is a game that a lot of people would love to hear you do a review on. Maybe this one could be for Nude Clan or maybe even for Ultima, but I would say Legend of Dragoon. He says this only because people say it gets a lot of comparisons to FF7. A lot of people think it was trying to be a clone, so it would be an interesting episode to see how that game stacks up. That one's definitely not going to happen for the podcast. I do think that's a game that we probably should play for Nude Clan, or at least have the option to do it for Nude Clan.
What is
Obviously, we don't choose what wins.
What does that one say? I can't.
Nate says, psyched to hear you doing all of Xenosaga. Have at least one in a box somewhere, so when you get close, I'm happy to lend it as a small way to support
We might
the
have
show.
to. It's not a very common game. What about the Xenoblade Chronicles? Is that a spiritual sequel? Heard it's great. Xenoblade Chronicles is not mentioned in that Xeno Wikipedia page, so it is not getting any focus from us.
Yeah.
Also, what about other Sakaguchi games, especially The Last Story? I really want to play The Last Story, but not for UFF. That's a Nude Clan game, and that's a Nude Clan game nomination that will happen someday, I assure you. By the way, kind of happy you guys are dragging on tactics.
Guys.
Yeah, I'm so glad Joe is being a lazy fuck when it comes to tactics. I wanted to play along with you, and it got all set up on my PSP, but I have had a crazy couple of days, or a couple of weeks. Sorry, something got in the way there. R Lemon, what does that say? R Lemon? R Lennon 72. I would say waive the DLC rule and play the character episodes for FF15. They do add some story and varied gameplay, at least with episode Prompto. At a couple hours per episode, you guys can knock out each episode in a week. Also would put in a vote on Super Mario RPG. If I'm not mistaken, their music for the game Super Boss is exactly the same boss theme for FF4. I don't think music is enough, Schweiss.
No, I don't either.
No.
Paladin Tim says, it's exciting to hear you guys will play Xenosaga. Also, I'll jump on the vote for Super Mario RPG. It was the first RPG I ever played, and what got me into Final Fantasy, because they are so similar.
Abrex says, FF7 remake. Wah. That's what I say to that. Forget whatever rules you want to put on the list for a second. You can't truly be the ultimate Final Fantasy podcast if you don't play one of the most asked for / anticipated FF games of all times, remake or not. I'm not anticipating that much, I'll be honest. It doesn't belong on Nude Clan either. It should be on UFF. Even Schweiss on this very episode said anything Final Fantasy should be on Ultimate Final Fantasy. Don't let us down. Fine, Schweiss, we have to replay the entire series, only play a different version of each game.
Or how about this, Abraham?
How about that?
How about, since everything Final Fantasy has to stay here, we just won't play it at all? That's my way of winning, is that I won't play it for either show. I'll just play it myself, and I'll never talk about it, ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted, right?
World
That's
Ends
what
with You.
asked for.
World Ends with You on DS is one of my favorite RPGs of all time. It was never an FF. There's the answer to that. But It was made by the Kingdom Hearts team at Square Enix. Definitely doesn't qualify under the current list of rules, but throw it on anyway. Nope, there's no throw it on anyways, guys. We're looking for games that do work on the current set of rules so that someday the show ends and I get my life back. That's the idea here. I said no. I said no to adding the Xenosaga to the list before, but since it's officially added, I think you need to play the Xenoblade series too. I've seen people refer to Xenoblade Chronicles 10 and Second Blade game as basically Xenosaga Episode 4. Basically? Is that actually or just basically?
I don't know.
There's a difference between want and need, right? There's a difference between literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a nod and a direct sequel. There's a difference between being in the universe of a specific game series or being part of that game series. And there's things we gotta deal with here, guys. I know. Narrative Mean, however, agrees on adding Xenoblade. I will check on Xenoblade and make sure. At this point, I will check, but just because it says Xeno in the title. Should we play Xeno Warrior Princess as well? Should we just do a commentary on...
Yeah, the movie.
the TV show. I've only played the original Xenoblade Chronicles, but for me, it's up there with the best of the FFs. Beautiful soundtrack, epic story, fun combat and party customization, plenty of side content, and some super tough super bosses. I'm sure you guys will have a good time with it if you guys decide to add it. The last story is also decent, and I can see the argument for it being on the list.
Jake says, since everything is apparently being added now, forget the US-only releases and add Radical Dreamers to the list. I don't know what that is. Corey Bonsack, Super Mario RPG, and Legend of the Seven Stars.
I don't know about Legend of Seven Stars. I'd have to look into it. This is basically like a list of homework Joe has to do to make sure that it qualifies.
Yeah.
Got to get the lawyer speak in there.
Farts at Vandalay says
Nice.
the PSP Vita games Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together is somewhat related FF. The director Yasumi Matsuno and his team, I think, went on to work on FF Tactics. The game is phenomenal, very similar to Tactics, but still unique. Both games have their pros and cons. The only thing I hate about TO, Tactics Ogre, I assume, is that you can't just keep grinding. The enemies will level up too, so you can't over-level and destroy. You will get destroyed instead. Also, I think I remember you guys saying Caleb Craig loves FF Tactics. I think he might enjoy Jean d'Arc for PSP and Vita. This one has nothing to do with FF, so it wouldn't be for the show, but it is a great TRPG, story gameplay artwork-wise. Sword of Mana and Heroes of Mana. Might as well do all the available in this country, at least, Mana games, right? I didn't know those existed. If those are not on the list, I'm sorry. Because they are Mana games, they should be played. So I will add those and look them up and make sure they're not just like remakes of old ones, because that happens with the Mana series. Matunica, I would go down the route of Bastard Child games and basically add the Gucci games he made after leaving Square. Mistwalker Studios, I think, as these would have been FF games that he'd played. So Last Story, Blue Dragon, and Lost Odyssey. Also, I vote for any Chocobo named games and add on DLC like in FF15. Dare I mention FF2, Soul of Rebirth? It's okay to nab a save file and play the content. That's right. We had that Soul of Rebirth dealio where we said we weren't going to play it. Yeah.
It was like an added dungeon for the remake of FF2. Anyway. Also, it might have been on the Dead forums, but I remember a guy posted his own remake of the FF7 mobile game. It looked good and was for PC games, so you should play that if you can find it. No, it's a mobile game. You can play it, Matunica, and review it on this show.
Looks like you found it.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Wow. Gosh, a lot of people answered this one, didn't they?
Irat says, okay, I have a game for you to play for Nude, Beyond the Beyond. It is the very first, I think, JRPG to come out on PS1. If you can't get it, play Super Mario RPG or Chrono Trigger.
Huh, okay.
Lycan said he would love for us to play through the FF7 remake and do a review on it, or even just a comparison to the original one.
Yeah. So there are some good ones on this list, guys. Thank you for bringing up the stuff. I will look and make sure that it falls into our rules. There's a reason we have the rules, and so it has to be black and white. Either it fits or it doesn't fit. So Kingdom Hearts seems to be the thing that fucked us up, Schweiss.
Yep.
Letting that be on here. But so I'll say if it's a prominent, not an unlockable or secret thing in a game, like Squall is straight up in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
He's straight up a character that
Yeah.
you meet, and Aerith and Cloud. So there's kind of a difference there in my mind. If Cecil is the Cecil he is from FF4 and he shows up in Secret of Evermore, then yeah, I would play Secret of Evermore. I think that would be a have to play. Personally. Your thoughts?
I don't know if it's enough, but
Yeah.
we'll
And
look
then
at it.
Krinital is saying some game called Radical Dreamers is part of the Chrono Trigger Chrono Cross story.
Yeah, it's
Krinital,
a side story.
I will forget this, and it would be awesome if you could put that onto the forum on this thread, so that I
someone
can
else
remember
did.
that. Oh, someone else put Radical
Yeah,
Dreamers?
that was
Okay.
Jake.
Oh, okay.
But it was non-US only, so we might have to get a translation. That's a little more difficult.
Yeah, and I say when it comes to those translation things, let's just play it by ear when we get to them. Other than that, I think that's it for this episode.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Shit, hopefully we get some Final Fantasy Tactics in this week, eh?
Hopefully we do. Guys, join us for the streams. Old twitch.tv/Ultimate Final Fantasy.
Yeah, come hang out. I'll be streaming it, and so will Joe.
Okay, we'll see you guys next week.
Enjoy the grind.